Hi guys, in today's video we're going to take a quick look at the selection sort algorithm. Let's get into it. A selection sort algorithm sorts a collection by repeatedly finding a smaller element that occurs after the selected element and swapping the two. Let me show you how that works. Here we have an unsorted array of numbers, integers. Assuming we want to use the selection sort, the first thing we're going to do is set I, which is going to be our starting position, to index 0. We will also set index 0 as the min index. Min index indicating that we're taking it to be the index with the smallest element so far. So, min. That's our minimum index. And then we will check every element that comes after I and look for an element that is smallest in that part of the array that is smaller than the element at min index. In this case, 5 is the smallest and it's smaller than the element at min index. So what actually happens is we loop through each of the elements that come after I. Let's call this loop control variable j. So at first, j is going to be 30. And 30 is not less than 30, so the min index will remain at index 0. We go to 5. 5 is less than 30, so the min index is shifted to 5. So the value of the min index is now 3. We check 20. 20 is not less than the current minimum value, which is 5. So nothing happens there. Go forward, we check 100. 100 is not less than the current minimum value, which is 5. So nothing happens. And then, after a complete iteration of the outer loop, which is the loop controlled by the I, we then swap the element at min index with the element at I. In this case, we're swapping 5 and 30. This results in this array: 5, 30, 30, 20, 100. Our I is now at index 1. And our j is going to check from index 2 going forward. This is our range for j now. And the min index is going to begin at index I. The min index will always begin at index I. So our min will begin here. Excuse my writing there. Okay, that's better. As before, we're going to check 30. Is 30 smaller than the element at min index? It's not. Is 20 smaller? Yes, it is. So the min is moved to 20. And then we check, is 100 smaller? 100 is not smaller. So at the end, the min index will be the index with 20, which is index 3. We swap 20 and 30. This results in this array: 5, 20, 30, 30, 100. In this scenario, the array is now sorted. However, the selection sort will run until n-1. It will run n-1 times. So it will continue running even though the array is now sorted. Let's take a look at the algorithm complexity of the selection sort. Here we have the worst case scenario, which is O of n squared. This is because we have two loops and one is nested within the other. I will not dig deep into algorithm complexity in this video, But if you do want to hear more about it, just let me know and I'll make a video on it. Now, let us implement a selection sort in Python. Now let's implement the selection sort algorithm using Python. Here, I have an empty Python file, and on the other side, I have the pseudocode for the selection sort. So to implement this sort, I'm going to use for loops. Now that means we don't have to worry about setting I or setting j or incrementing them. So let's start with the outer loop. In fact, let's start by defining a function. Let's call it sort. And it will take in our array. And then within the sort function, we want the first loop, which is the outer loop, for I in range, and it's going to run from 0 up until length of the array minus 1. Here, I just put len array because the range function in Python goes from 0 to whatever value you give it minus 1. So automatically, this will run from 0 to length of array minus 1. And then we want the inner loop. And then we want to set the smallest index to I. Here I'm going to call it min index. And then we have the inner loop. Now this is controlled by j, a new loop control variable for j and range. Now take note, this is going to run from I plus 1 to len of array. And then we have the if statement, if array at position j is less than array at min index, then we want to set the min index to j. And because we used for loops in Python, we don't have to worry about incrementing I or incrementing j. So let's move on. After exiting the inner loop, we want to swap the element at I with the element at min index. So we can do this by creating temp, a temporary variable. Let's call it temp. Let's give it the element at I. And then let's set the element at I to become the element at min index. Then we set min index to temp. A quicker way to do this in Python would be using tuple swapping. This line is equivalent to those 3 lines. They will both do the same thing. Let me just comment this out. Now that we've completed our sorting function, let's create a helper function that will print out a list on a single line. Call it print list. Actually, let's call it print array. Stay consistent. It's going to loop. And it's going to print. We want to print on the same line, so we pass the end argument to the print function with just a space in empty quotes so that it doesn't put a new line at the end, but just puts in a space. Then let's just print a new line here for formatting. Now let's test the code. Create an unsorted list. Let's print it out to the console. Use a helper function. And then let's sort it and print it out to the console. Now let's use our terminal to run this file. In the terminal, I'm going to run Python. The name of the file, selection sort.py. And as we can see, our algorithm is working correctly. This is everything for the selection sort. Thank you for watching.